All right, well, let's talk about that game first. I said it. There was nothing ordinary or normal about that game yesterday between the Cavaliers and the Warriors. I mean, it did not seem like a regular season game. What statement do you think the Cavaliers made with that win?
Well, first of all, I'm with you. Oh, baby. I mean, that's you don't get a regular season game with that level of intensity and that the level of play in terms on being on such a high level. But I think with the Cavs, it was important on a couple of fronts. Number one, letting the Warriors know that just because you went and got Kevin Durant doesn't mean we're going to roll over for you. We're as good as we were last year, if not better. You better keep that level up there if you want to compete with us. But more than that, listen, the Cavs are a little bit marginalized on the bench. And I did think that late third quarter, early fourth quarter, that lack of depth definitely showed itself with the Cavaliers. I mean, beyond that late Jefferson stop, they didn't get much from anybody not named James Irving or Love. So to be able to do that when your team isn't all that deep and you haven't either A, gotten injured guys back, and it's going to be a while with J.R. Smith, or
Yeah.
B, developed younger guys on your bench like Felder and McRae, or C, went out in a trade market and got reinforcements. You've done none of that, and you were still able to beat a fully healthy Warriors team. Granted, in your own building, granted, in a very close game, granted, you needed a miracle shot and a huge stop late, but that's a big statement for the Cavs. They're letting the Warriors know we're not handing you anything come June. And boy, I can't wait, guys. I mean, if we get these two teams in June, which looks like the likely scenario, we're going to get 7 games of that kind of stuff because that was absolutely awesome yesterday.
Yeah, and you mentioned the lack of depth. Kyrie and LeBron played for a combined 84 minutes yesterday. I mean, without J.R. Smith for a while, they could do that yesterday because they've got a couple days between games. But how do they fill in for him, as the season progresses? I mean, do you see them making any moves to fill in for him?
What I think they're going to do, Madeline, is I think what they'll do is they'll essentially look at Felder and McRae over the course of the next 6-7 weeks and see if these guys can be what they need in terms of perimeter help, because that's where they need perimeter help. They're also without Birdman Anderson for the season, but I don't think that's going to be as much of an issue because of Thompson and Love, and they're hoping to get more out of Channing Frye, obviously, in the playoffs than they got last year. But I think they're going to look at those two young guys before they decide what do we have to do to go out there and get somebody. Keep one other thing in mind for the Cavs also. Because of the Cavs, because they're the team everybody wants to come play with, it's not just the trade deadline for them. They'll be top of the list for the buyout market. So if guys get bought out of their contracts, Cleveland's going to be a place they want to go. Remember the impact Joe Johnson had last year as a buyout when he ended up being bought out by the Nets and ending up in Miami, a guy that Cleveland wanted. Normally a buyout guy, you can get a minimum salary number, which is all Cleveland can really afford at this point, which is how deep they are into the luxury tax. So I think the Cavs are going to bide their time a little bit with the understanding that maybe not against Golden State, but against both teams, DeAndre Liggins is not the same player as Smith at all, but will be an adequate replacement more nights than not, and then figure out what they're going to need, because push comes to shove, this is all about matching up with the Warriors. They don't have to worry about anybody else in the East. They'll beat anybody with just James Irving and Love and Thompson. They need to make sure that they have the right pieces when they reach early June to be able to compete with the Warriors.